A man, particularly the alpha male 2.0, goes through three distinct life phases. And the more you understand these life phases, the less likely you are to make big life mistakes, the typical mistakes that most men make as they go through life. I'm about to describe these phases in detail right now. I am Caleb Jones. This is Alpha Male 2.0. I make a strong location-independent international income while dating multiple attractive women, and I teach men like you how to do the same thing. So I go through these three life phases in great detail in one of my courses called Maximum Freedom. That's the biggest and most expansive course I have. That's at MaximumFreedomCourse.com. It will completely change your life. You can certainly check it out there. But I will summarize these three life phases here. And it's important to understand where you are in life, what you should be focusing on based on where you are, and what you should not be focusing on, which is in many cases more important than to know what to focus on. The first phase is the breakout phase. And this phase, generally speaking, occurs between the ages of 18 and 34, although there are exceptions. So there are many men over the age of 34 who are not yet out of the breakout phase. They're still in their breakout phase, unfortunately. So these are just estimates. But the breakout phase is when you work to break away from your authority figures. Who are your authority figures? Mom and dad. That'd be the first one. Moving out of your family's home, moving away from mom and dad. If you live with mommy and daddy, it doesn't matter how old you are, they're in charge. They set your lifestyle agenda to some degree. So during the breakout phase, you do your best to move out of your parents' home so you can be your own free, independent man. This also means you're breaking away from another authority figure, your boss at your work. If you don't have your own business, unfortunately, you're going to have something called a boss. And this is a person who's going to tell you what to do. And if you don't do what this person tells you what to do, he will fire you, and then you can't pay your bills until you get another boss. Ugh, even saying that just disturbs me. What a horrible life to have a job. Anyway, so during the breakout phase, your job is to break away from having a boss. How do you do that? You set up your own location-independent Alpha 2.0 business. And you get that business to the point where you're making at least 40% of what you make at your job, then you can quit your job and you never have to have a job ever again. I haven't had a job since 1996, and it's good. Not having a job is fucking awesome. Even in some conditions, if you make less money at your own business than you did with your job, it's still better because you're completely free to set your own schedule and you pay less taxes. So you don't need to make as much money as you used to make at your job. It's awesome. What is another authority figure you need to learn to break away from when you're a young man? Well, if you're a typical beta male young man, you likely have a third authority figure called a girlfriend. And so during the breakout phase is when you're breaking away from her. What does that mean? You're establishing non-monogamy as a lifestyle relationship basis. This way you're dating multiple women and have no girlfriend, dating FBs and or MLTRs. Or worst case scenario, if you're over the age of 30, you have an OLTR, which is your girlfriend, but you can still have sex with other women whenever the hell you want, so she doesn't control your dick and therefore control your sex life. Some other possible authority figures would be strong friends or a strong social circle, or in some cases a religion. Some of you guys are stuck with your religion. So during the breakout phase as a younger man, you break away from your religion. You can still agree with some religious tenets, but you're going to free yourself from your religion so you can live the life you want to live without any religious bullshit or rules or drama in your life. So that's what the breakout phase is. It's when you're a younger man and you have not yet broken away from all these authority figures via things like your own business, non-monogamy, living on your own, and so on. When you do finally break away from all of your authority figures as an alpha male 2.0, it doesn't matter how old you are when this happens, by the way. When you no longer are monogamous, when you have your own location-independent income and don't need a job, when you don't live at home with your parents or a parent-like figure like those of you who live with your grandma, when you've accomplished all those things, you then enter into the second phase of life, and that is the empire building phase. And generally, that's a phase that usually, for most men, starts around age 35, although some guys can start it sooner, some guys can start a lot later. Again, these are wild estimates. I'm just being general here. 35, and usually goes well into a man's 60s. Sometimes they don't end it till their 70s. Depends on the guy. But in the empire building phase, you have now successfully become your own independent person. And now you can use those resources to build your life infrastructure. I call that your empire, but don't mistake me. That doesn't mean you need to be like Elon Musk or Bill Gates and build an actual big empire. You don't. Your empire could be as simple as a live-in OLTR with one FB on the side and an income that's like $90,000 a year, location independent. To you, that may be your empire, and that's fine. Your empire can be whatever you want as long as you meet alpha male 2.0 minimums, which means you're having sex with at least 2 women on a regular basis. OLTR, MLTR, FB doesn't matter, and your location independent at least $85,000 a year US. If that's all you want, great, your empire building is done. If you want more than that, a lot of you do, I certainly did as a young man, I still do, then your empire building phase continues until all of your life infrastructure is completely built and completely arrayed exactly the way you want it. Your businesses, your finances, your relationship life, where you live, your 5 flags, your foreign countries, all those things are perfectly set up exactly the way you want them, with all the money you want, all the women you want, all the structures you want, the tax structure you want, everything in your life. By the way, your health is included in that. If you have a health problem, those are taken care of. Your health is good. These things are all situated and ready to go. Now, if you have bigger goals, that's going to take you a long time. That may take you decades. I am about to turn 50 and I am still in the heat of my empire building phase. I've been in my empire building phase now for several decades, and I ain't slowing down anytime soon because my empire is not exactly the way I want it. It's close. It's getting there. A few more years before I enter into the next phase. But the point is, I'm still there. I am still hard at work in my empire building phase. And frankly, in my opinion, this is just my personal opinion, the empire building phase is the most exciting one. It's the most exciting one. The breakout phase is kind of irritating because you're still dealing with mom and dad and boss and girlfriends. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's not really fun to be a younger guy in many cases. That's kind of the phase you want to get through as fast as you can so you get to your empire building phase, which is the exciting part. Before I get to the third phase, you should subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed already. Click the notification bell, put a like on this video, and leave a comment on this video. Doesn't matter what you say. The more algorithm-friendly interactivity I get on this content, the more of this content I will do for you for free. Not bad. Now, once you have completed setting up all, and I mean all, of your lifestyle infrastructure to exactly what you want, exactly what you've always wanted. In other words, when your life becomes equivalent to your vision, not your mission, that's different. Your vision is a 1 or 2 page document that lists out everything in your life. If everything in life was perfect, whatever money you want to make, how you want to make it, your life is perfect, your relationship life is perfect, everything's exactly the way you want it. Then, if you wish, you can either continue your empire building phase and continue to scale just for fun, or you could enter into the third phase, which is what I call the self-actualization phase. And in this phase, not only are you free, but all of your infrastructure is in place. And now you can do kind of literally whatever you want. And so at that point, you don't need to work for money. You don't need to work to get laid. You don't need to work to improve anything per se because you've gotten all that stuff. That stuff is now in place. So instead, you work on yourself. You work inward and do those things that you would do to express yourself in the world, to improve yourself, to self-actualize, to become the best version of yourself. Now, the self-actualization phase can be many things for many different people. For some people, it might be a spiritual thing. You might want to really get into your spirituality, into your religion, into meditation, solitude, become a monk, whatever the hell. Okay, you might want to really get into that part of your life. For other people, it's philanthropy, really giving back, starting up foundations, donating your money to causes you find worthy, traveling the world, helping poor children in Africa, whatever that is. For other people, it may be business oriented, which is probably going to be my self-actualization phase, where when I do this, I will still work in my companies, but I will no longer work for money because I will have plenty. Instead, I will work to express myself in the marketplace, to give to the marketplace what I have to give without worrying about how much money I make per se. I'm still going to charge money for my services, probably a lot of money, but my point is I won't be doing it for the money, I'll be doing it for me as something to do as a fun money hobby. I will also do things like write fiction, something I've always wanted to do, something I've done sporadically throughout my life, but something that makes very little money. So that's something else you can do in your self-actualization phase, is do those things that don't really technically make a lot of money, like painting or art or architecture or traveling the world. Maybe we just want to travel. We want to travel the world and experience different places, different people. That's fine too. You can have a selfish self-actualization phase and just go completely into yourself. You can have a selfless self-actualization phase where you give back to the world. It doesn't really matter, and that's the beauty of the self-actualization phase. You can do whatever you want. It can be whatever you like, And most men are not going to hit this phase, most guys, until they're at least their 50s, sometimes 40s, usually 60s. There are very rare times it's before 40s. I can't really think of an example of someone hit this phase before age 40, because even if you make a lot of money in your 30s, you're probably going to want to make more money. That's just how this works when you're a young guy. So usually you're talking about yourself as an older man. Personally, my plan is to get into my self-actualization phase around my early 50s, 53, 54, somewhere in there. I'm about to turn 50, so I got 3 or 4 more years of hard work in my empire building phase before I make that determination. And of course, I could decide at age 53, 54 that the empire building phase is just too much fun and keep going with that. You could certainly do that too. Really depends on you and your objectives. But now that you know the 3 phases, you can properly identify where you are in those phases and what you need to do. So if you are a young guy in the breakout phase, you have one goal, in my opinion, and just one. Get out of the breakout phase as fast as possible. The breakout phase of the 3 phases is the one that should last the shortest. Any guy watching this video, any young guy, could be out of the breakout phase within 3 to 5 years. At the most. Within 3 years, you could have your own business that generates enough income where you can quit your job, you can move out of your parents' house, and you don't need to be monogamous. And if you are monogamous, you can tell your girlfriend to F off or open up the relationship so you're allowed to have sex with FBs on the side. That is all doable if you hit it hard within 3 to 5 years. Most guys, the breakout phase lasts 15 years, sometimes even longer. It's kind of depressing. And frankly, as time goes on, as men become weaker and more feminized and more pussified and lower testosterone and more scared, you will see more and more men extending the time of the breakout phase into literally their 40s. I've written several articles now about the childification of men, and so that's really off topic for this video, but you get my point. If you're in the empire building phase, your objective there is to define, have very clear, specific goals for what your empire looks like. What does it look like in terms of your business structures? What does it look like in terms of your investments and net worth? What does it look like in terms of your 5 flags? Where in the world you want to live? What your flags look like? What does it look like in terms of your relationship life? What does your relationship look like when it's done, quote unquote? Does that mean MLTRs for the rest of your life? Great. Does that mean an OLTR plus FBs on the side like I have? Great. Does that mean, is that with kids, without children? What does that mean? So in your empire building phase, you should have a very specific definition of what this looks like so you'll know when you get there. And then when you get there, you can decide to continue and expand, or you can click into your self-actualization phase and just start doing stuff for what you want to do and not worry about the money or the logistics of life. If you want more details on how to survive and be successful in these phases, you should check out the Maximum Freedom course at MaximumFreedomCourse.com. And I will see you in the next video. Have fun. Bye.